For years, people have been asking, will China really surpass the US as the world's largest economy? Well, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, has some interesting insight on this.
The thing to appreciate about China is just that there's a lot of really smart, really hardworking people there, and they're going to do a lot of great things. This is sort of, independent of Chinese government policy. They're just going to do a lot of interesting things. The thing that will feel pretty strange is that the Chinese economy is going to be probably at least twice as big as the US economy. Maybe 3 times, but at least twice. And that assumes a GDP per capita still less than the US. But since they have about 4 or 5 times the population, then it would only require getting to a GDP per capita of half the United States for their economy to be twice the size of ours. And as I'm sure people in this room know, the foundation of war is economics. And so if you have half the resources of the counterparty, then you better be real innovative. If you're not innovative, you're going to lose.
Whether China's economy will surpass that of the US is a question that sparks a lot of curiosity and debate, but the idea isn't as far-fetched as it once seemed. Over the past few decades, China has gone from being a developing nation to a global economic giant at lightning speed. From dominating global manufacturing to becoming a leader in cutting-edge tech, China's rise has been nothing short of remarkable. But what's driving this rapid growth, and can it actually overtake the US? Well, we will answer that in this video. But before you continue watching, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Now let's talk about the facts and figures why China will surpass the US in the coming years. Number 1, population size and market potential. One of the biggest reasons China could overtake the US economically is its sheer population size and the market potential that comes with it. Let's put this into perspective. China has around 1.4 billion people, 4 times the population of the US, which sits at roughly 330 million. That's a massive difference, and it means China has a consumer base that's unmatched by almost any other country. Think about it. If every Chinese citizen were to buy just one extra product or service, the impact on the economy would be huge. Now, consider the rise of China's middle class. Just a few decades ago, China was mostly a rural, agrarian society. Fast forward to today, and hundreds of millions have been lifted out of poverty, creating one of the world's fastest-growing consumer groups. In fact, China's middle class is expected to reach over 600 million by 2025, nearly double the entire population of the US. That's a lot of people who are spending more on everything from smartphones and cars to luxury goods and travel. As more people move to cities and incomes rise, the demand for products and services skyrockets. This gives China a massive advantage. A company selling to the Chinese market has access to an enormous pool of potential customers, something you just don't see on the same scale in the US. Even though China's population is starting to age, the sheer numbers still give it a long-term edge in terms of market size. This enormous market potential also makes China extremely attractive to global businesses and investors. Companies from around the world are eager to tap into this consumer base, and that brings more investment, more innovation, and more growth to China's economy. So while the US might still be ahead in terms of wealth per person, China's population size gives it a massive economic engine that just keeps growing. Second, China's high economic growth rates. For years, China has been growing at a speed that leaves most countries in the dust. Between 1980 and 2020, China's economy grew at an average annual rate of nearly 10%. That's right, 10%. To put that in perspective, the US economy typically grows around 2 to 3% a year. So while the US has been cruising along steadily, China has been racing forward, closing the gap. Even though China's growth has slowed down in recent years, hovering around 5 to 6% now, it's still growing much faster than most other major economies. In 2023, for instance, China's growth rate was about 5.2% compared to the US's 2.5%. Over time, that difference adds up, and it means China is catching up fast. One reason for this high growth is China's incredible investment in infrastructure and industry. The country has built massive highways, high-speed rail networks, airports, and cutting-edge factories. This has helped China become the world's factory, producing goods at a scale no other country can match. Manufacturing is a huge part of China's economic engine, driving exports and generating wealth that fuels other sectors. Another factor? Urbanization. More than 60% of China's population now lives in cities, compared to just 20% in 1980. As people move to urban areas, they earn more, spend more, and drive up the economy. It's a cycle of growth that keeps the momentum going. Of course, the US still has some advantages, like being a leader in innovation and technology, but the speed at which China's economy has grown, especially over the last few decades, is a key reason many believe it could eventually surpass the US. Even if China's growth rate slows down, it's still expanding at a pace that's hard for others to match. And with a bigger economy comes more global influence. Third, China dominates in manufacturing. When people call China the world's factory, they're not exaggerating. China produces an astonishing 28% of the world's total manufacturing output, more than any other country. Compare that to the US, which accounts for about 16.6%, a significant chunk, but still far behind China. This dominance in manufacturing has been one of the key drivers of China's rapid economic growth. For decades, China has been able to produce goods cheaply and efficiently, attracting global companies to set up their factories there. Whether it's electronics, clothing, machinery, or even medical supplies, chances are a good portion of what you use every day was made in China. What's interesting is that China's manufacturing sector isn't just about cheap, mass-produced goods anymore. In recent years, China has been moving up the value chain, producing more sophisticated products like smartphones, electric cars, and high-tech machinery. Companies like Huawei and BYD are now competing with American and European firms in advanced tech sectors, and this shift is helping China cement its status as a global manufacturing leader. This dominance in manufacturing doesn't just boost China's own economy, it also gives China significant leverage in global trade. By being the world's go-to manufacturer, China has embedded itself deeply into global supply chains. When disruptions happen, like during the pandemic, the world feels the impact. And as China continues to expand into higher-value manufacturing, its economic power will only grow. So while the US remains a leader in certain sectors like aerospace and pharmaceuticals, China's manufacturing dominance is a key reason it could eventually surpass the US economically. With the ability to produce everything from everyday goods to cutting-edge tech, China has built a manufacturing empire that shows no signs of slowing down. And finally, China is a global trade leader. Over the past few decades, China has positioned itself as a central player in global trade, becoming the largest trading partner for more than 120 countries. It's not just about selling cheap goods anymore. China's trade influence stretches across nearly every continent, shaping the global economy in profound ways. In 2022, China's total trade in goods hit a staggering $6.3 trillion. That's more than the entire GDP of countries like the UK or India. Meanwhile, The US came in at around $5.3 trillion in trade, still massive, but trailing China. This difference reflects just how central China has become to global supply chains. Whether it's electronics, textiles, machinery, or raw materials, China plays a vital role in keeping the world's economies running smoothly. A big part of China's trade dominance comes from its strategic initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative. Launched in 2013, the BRI is an ambitious project that involves building infrastructure, ports, railways, highways across Asia, Europe, and Africa. The goal? To improve trade routes and connect more markets to China's economy. It's been called the New Silk Road for a reason. China is literally paving the way for stronger trade ties with countries all over the world. Through the BRI, China has invested billions in developing countries, giving them better access to global markets while securing its own economic interests. This has made China an indispensable partner for many nations, especially in Africa and Southeast Asia, where infrastructure needs are high. As these countries grow economically, their dependence on Chinese trade and investment strengthens China's leadership role even further. While the US still holds a lot of global economic power, especially in finance and services, China's growing dominance in trade makes it an essential player in the global economy. This gives it a crucial advantage in the race to become the world's largest economy. As we gaze into the future, it's evident that China isn't merely vying for the title of the world's largest economy. It's poised to redefine global economic leadership altogether. With a staggering population, rapid growth rates, and a manufacturing prowess that dominates the market, China is laying the groundwork for a monumental leap ahead. Its strategic investments in cutting-edge technologies and infrastructure signal a bold ambition to not just compete, but to lead in the industries of tomorrow. As China continues to rise, the question isn't just if it will surpass the US, but how this shift will reshape the global landscape. So do you agree with us that China will definitely surpass the US and become the world's largest economy? Share your thoughts and leave your comments below. If you like what you watched, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to our channel.